Welcome back to the Boomerang Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Drew.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about the events happening in the Middle East with Hamas terrorists and the country of Israel. Really disturbing stuff.
Yeah, we've had, 5 or 6 days now of, I guess you could consider a war with Israel. Palestinians, Hamas came in over the Gaza Strip, killed a bunch of people at a music festival, the Rave. Really sad, reports of, elderly babies being slaughtered, being used as human shields, really just cowardly stuff. And just want to get, kind of our take and, what we feel about it and just maybe the impending war in the Middle East.
Well, we know that the history between the Palestinians and Israel, I mean, Israel's no perfect place. I kind of look at the world as every country has its own deep state. Right, including Israel. Israel's got the Mossad. The Mossad is probably one of the most corrupt organizations out there. But I still take sides with Israel, of course. Right, these Hamas taking. We saw the children in cages. I mean, it's disturbing stuff. And what this is going to impact is it's going to start to impact what happens in the Middle East. You have obviously Ukraine at the same time. Right, China could invade Taiwan. Iran, right? They just got the money from the Biden administration. I think it was $6 or $9 billion.
What an absolute joke!
What a joke!
How can they guarantee that didn't go to terrorist organizations? They can't. You have the EU who's going to continue to give financial aid to Palestine and Hamas and these organizations as well. So I mean that's pretty sickening. And I know they originally said that they were going to cut off funding the EU and then backtracked and they're going to continue to do the funding. Like how absurd is that? When you have a group like Hamas, think about who they're being backed by right now. Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? Ilar Oman or whatever her name is in Congress. Like just sick people, right? Is that really the side that you want to be, putting yourself on? And just with that type of organization, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean, what I would expect to see now is oil to hit probably $150, $200 a barrel.
I would imagine oil and things like gold are probably going to go up,
Yep.
Especially in times of war. And it's really sad because, we've depleted our strategic oil supply. We've depleted our ammunition supply and weapons supply with Ukraine to the point now we're also trying to help Israel. I don't think we can produce it quick enough. And again, like you mentioned earlier, is like that's just another opportunity for China then to invade Taiwan while we're weak.
Yeah, spread us thin. Iran's back now in the oil business.
Yep.
They're producing oil. Russia's not giving their oil to Germany, so Germany's going to have some problems. They're talking about using, I think, coal.
Yeah.
For the winter.
Yeah, the dirtiest of all energy.
The dirtiest
right?
of all energy they're going to be using. These are the climate
Trump nailed
activists.
it on Germany.
Oh, yeah. He
a couple years
called
ago.
it years.
They were laughing at him.
Years in advance. Yeah, they were laughing at him.
Yeah.
In the EU meeting in New York.
Yeah.
They were literally laughing at him. Yeah, who's laughing now? Germany. Iran's back in the oil business. I think you're going to start seeing what, to my understanding, is Iran built electrical grids that go into places like Lebanon. So they're going to probably come together now, create the caliphate, right?
Yep.
That's what their whole goal is. Israel's going door to door right now in the Gaza Strip looking for Hamas, right? That's probably going to lead to a lot of more innocent lives lost,
Sure.
right?
Just because they'll booby trap things and do, it's tough because, if you're going to do it, you just carpet bomb them. But that's why they took, when you have American lives, you have Israeli lives, they had children and grandparents, being used as human shields. And that's what those cowards like to do, is use innocence and hide behind them. Makes it tough. And that's why I think it's going to be pretty bloody, set of events.
It's going to be a bloodbath. It already is, yeah. And this all came on the eve of the anniversary of the Yom Kippur War back in 1973, right? And that I look at the players involved leading up to all this in the last, decade or two. I blame people like John Kerry.
Yeah.
John Kerry's the world's biggest terrorist in existence. Obama's the same thing. I mean, Obama grew up in Indonesia raised as a Muslim.
Yeah.
That's the truth about Obama.
And he also gave billions of dollars to Iran.
So this is something that has been created for years and years and years, and now we're just sitting here at a turning point where probably what they want to do is, by raising energy costs, that's going to lead to the crashing of world economies, right? So this is a time where you really have to start thinking, right? You're seeing the war on the screen, but you really got to start thinking about your economics of your individual country. As Andrew said, this is going to push up things like gold prices, commodities in general. Oil's going to probably hit $200 a barrel. So this is really a time where I start seeing the world severing ties and countries starting to become more independent. And that's why the United States needs to get back into its own oil production. Right. We need to start producing our own oil at home. We're here on practically the southern border. To my understanding, there's Hamas coming in through our southern border right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just read that 24,000 Chinese have come through. I mean, it's not just, South Americans and Mexicans. It's like all over the world and our enemies. And the crazy thing is they're all military age men, right? Very little women and children.
You don't see any women and children.
Yeah, it's absurd. And so, it leads me to really ask the question, how much of this is a planned destruction? Are you telling me that Israel really didn't know that these guys were coming? They have one of the most secure countries in the world, right? And
they had in their intel now.
These guys paraglided in. You know what I mean? I feel like that's crazy. As much as Joe Biden wants to come out and say, hey, we're with Israel and all this, you funded this stuff. You are funding these terrorists to attack, right? And you get emotionally attached when you first hear these things, and everybody's like, bomb them all, take out Iran. And I mean,
that doesn't do
I don't
any
even
good.
know if that I'm opposed to that, but it just leads me to believe they're trying to emotionally get us involved into another war,
Exactly.
right? Make this a flashpoint and to get them on their side. And it's like, well, is this planned? What I mean? Did we fund,
planned.
Hamas and, the Palestinians to be able to do this? Turn a blind eye, allow them to do this attack. So what? Maybe Israel then could take more land. I just don't know. You start thinking down these paths. But what I do know is when Israel was created, every couple of years they were attacked by the Palestinians, and every time Israel won, they took more land.
Right.
And then they offered multiple times to give them, additional land and
concessions of different types.
all kinds of concessions, and they turned it down. And the problem with Hamas is what they raise their children and what they believe is just to kill all Jews, all Jews, exterminate Christianity. And if that's their only focus, I don't know how you can coexist with.
Well, I think the Palestinians need to rid themselves of Hamas.
Yeah.
Right? Because the Palestinian people, there's nothing wrong with the Palestinian people. I'm all for their independence and giving them their own space, their own land, right? But it's tough to do that when you have Hamas always infiltrating and always trying to come in and take cheap shots at Israel, capture little kids, capture women, capture children, grandmothers.
Yep.
How do you solve that war? It's very difficult to do. And from what I recall, Trump had the Middle East Peace Treaty.
Yeah, the Abrams Accord.
The Abrams Accord. What happened to that? Right? So it goes to show you that leadership is very important, and having this leadership under Biden or lack thereof. Elections, I hate to sound like, cliche here, but elections have consequences, and you're seeing the consequences right now. This would never have happened under Trump's watch.
It did it. He
never did.
Good with Russia. North Korea, they thought this was going to be a big thing.
Everything was smooth as silk.
Abrams Accords, he's the only president that I can remember that hasn't started a new war, right? And it's absurd when everybody's telling you, oh, Orange Man bad, he's going to push the button in World War III. Here we are 3 years later with Biden. You know what I mean? Just another Obama surrogate, and we're on the brink of another war.
This
could
escalate
be the third war.
This could escalate to World War III like that.
100%, absolutely.
Like that. And what I think it represents to people, and what I think people should really see, there's a dynamic here, and that is the deep state is very real. There is a deep state. Every country has a deep state, including places like Russia, Israel, as we were just talking about. Okay, this is a war between the power of the deep state and the power of the good guys, people like Trump, who are trying to overthrow the deep state and take back control of the world. Right? And I think we're going to have to go see more and more bloodshed, unfortunately. I think it's going to require more and more war and death in order for people to really wake up and want to go into a different direction. Right. So while I'm very positive about the future, I do think right now things are going to get to a World War III scenario where every country is going to have its finger on the nuclear button ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, heightened alerts. I mean, we're in a lot of turbulence right now. And it won't, with everything as hot as it is, it doesn't take much for it to catch fire.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on in Israel and Hamas and the other Middle East countries. But we really appreciate you tuning in today, watching with us. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And please, any feedback, down below, we read the comments. We love the support. Thank you, everybody out there. So like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.